What's up everyone? My name is Kelsey. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to mix it up a little bit and talk about a few of my favorite podcasts. So I listen to podcasts when I'm working because I just can't pay enough attention to an audiobook, and I also listen to them when I'm between audiobooks on my commute. The ones I like best are usually book related or geeky in some way, so this video isn't totally unrelated to books. I'm going to leave the names of the podcast in the caption below so that you can check them out. I have 3 recommendations today, so let's just get into it. My first recommendation is the Professional Book Nerds podcast. This podcast is hosted by 2 of the staff librarians at Overdrive. Overdrive is the subscription service that libraries use for audiobooks and ebooks. If you use the Libby app, that's run by Overdrive. They put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday. Some of the episodes they do are the beginning of every month. They do an anticipated releases episode where they talk about books that are being released the following month, which I like to listen to so I can keep up to date even the books that aren't being hyped on BookTube. They also do a ton of author interviews, which are some of my favorite episodes. Recently they interviewed Victoria Schwab, author of The Shades of Magic and Villain's Duology. They also spoke to Samantha Shannon, who's the author of The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is getting a lot of hype lately. Her interview was really interesting. They also do like themed recommendations where the 2 hosts will recommend books based on a topic. Recently, for International Women's Day, they did an episode of books written by women. They also, a few weeks ago, did 2 episodes, one recommendations of books with dogs and one recommendations of books with cats. So if you like dogs or cats, check those out. They're really great interviewers. They ask interesting questions and they make really engaging content with the people that they interview, and they're just fun to listen to. So if you're listening to BookTube, you would probably like the Professional Book Nerds podcast. My next recommendation is Potterless. This podcast is hosted by Mike Schubert, who at 25 years old had never read any of the Harry Potter books, so he decided to start and podcast the books as he went along. So every week he has diehard Harry Potter fans and friends of his come on the show so they can discuss the books chapter by chapter. It is hilarious. Mike Schubert makes ridiculous off-the-wall predictions. He really hates Quidditch, so that's a fun running theme. Mike Schubert bitching about Quidditch. Him and his guests will talk about like plot holes and flaws in the books, but there's also tons of Harry Potter love. They talk about things they love in the books, what they want to happen, things they would have done differently, and just really funny commentary on the whole thing. The current episode is at Deathly Hallows chapters 16 and 17, I think. That's the one I just listened to. So if you start binging now, they'll probably be done with the series by the time you get to that episode, and you can just binge the whole thing straight through. My last recommendation is Fake Geek Girls. This is hosted by Mary and Missy, and they're just 2 friends that release a podcast every week talking about things they love, geeky things they love. This is a more recent podcast that I started listening to, but I've been loving it so far. They talk about books, movies, TV shows, games, comics, anything and everything. They do weekly episodes alternating between what we've been up to style episodes where they just talk about the things they've been doing and watching, reading, etc. and topical episodes where they stick to a specific theme and discuss that throughout the whole episode more in depth than the what we've been up to. My favorite thing about their podcast is their dedication to, and this is directly from their description, which says, talking about things they love from both a fan and critical perspective, which I feel like is missing from a lot of like fandom culture on the internet. We talk about the things we love and the things we want to see, but never about real actual flaws that the stuff we're consuming may have. For example, they did a couple episodes on the TV show Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a great show for representation as far as racial and cultural and gender and sexuality diversity, but they do have a serious problem with body shaming and fat phobia. So that was an interesting discussion they had. A few of my favorite episodes that you can check out, and that's another good thing about this series, is that you don't have to listen every week in order to understand what's happening, because the episodes are so topical. You can skip around, listen to what you want to hear, and maybe there are a few episodes that I avoid listening to because I'm still watching a show and I don't want to be spoiled. So that's a nice benefit of this style. But some of my favorite episodes are They did 3 episodes on the Shades of Magic series by Victoria Schwab, one on each of the books, which were just super interesting because I love those books, and there's no one that wants to sit down and talk to me about the Shades of Magic series for 3 straight hours. So this was nice. They also did, I think, 2 episodes on Jurassic Park. The first one on the original Jurassic Park movie and book, and then another episode on the sequels, both 2 and 3, and the Jurassic World movies. Those are really interesting. I think those were some of the first ones I listened to and that really got me hooked. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, you should definitely check out Fake Geek Girls. That's it for today. Let me know in the comments if you have any podcast recommendations for me based on these 3, or if you love any of these podcasts. I'd love to hear about it. I'm always looking for new podcasts to listen to while I work and drive, so please let me know if you have recommendations. If you like this video, hit like. I post book-related videos every Wednesday, so if you want to keep up, make sure you subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.